I'm Jonathan Watt with Atara Group International. We hope you're enjoying the series we're putting online here, including a new series we're filming while in Germany and Switzerland. If you're liking the ministry that we have online, please support us by pressing the like button and subscribing to our channel. Today we're talking about Martin Luther. We are standing here in the city of Wittenberg in Germany. Today it's an industrial center. It's a major historical site as well that brings in many thousands of visitors each year. But some 500 years ago, it was a small, quiet town that was to become the center of one of the greatest changes ever to occur in the history of the Christian church. The history, as it remembers it at least, involves a 33-year-old Roman Catholic monk and professor of theology at the local university who stood in front of the wooden doors behind me at the Castle Church, at least the original wooden doors that were there, and attached to those doors a handwritten Latin document that contained what was to trigger a firestorm of controversy that continues to play out to this very day. Here's how it went out, and here's how it played and changed the history of the church, as well as many other aspects of life as well. The name of that priest, Martin Luther, lived in the late 1400s, early 1500s, and at the heart of the document that he attached to these doors, which was known as the 95 Theses, were points of argument he had with the prevailing leadership of the Catholic Church at that time. Now, he was himself an Augustinian monk. He was celibate, meaning that he had vowed to remain a single man in connection with his service as a monk and as a priest, potentially in the future. These significant themes emerged in that document that he attached in Latin to these doors. Number one, he objected to the selling of what was known as indulgences, which were official documents that exchanged reduced time in purgatory for the payment of money. And of course, it was money that was paid to the church. And he was angered at the idea that the church, particularly the church in Rome, was going to be building these beautiful and ostentatious buildings, but on the backs of poor working class men and women in this area. Secondly, he argued that the Pope had no power to forgive sins and remove people's guilt. That was an act of God, not of a human being on earth. He also said that obtaining indulgence gave people, well, what he considered to be a false sense of security. They'd think by paying money they were better off, and of course he objected to that. So, what was the outcome of this bold act of Luther's? Well, the good news was that within a few years, at what came to be known as the Council of Trent, the Roman Catholic Church would stop selling indulgences, and by the way, has officially banned them ever since the 16th century. This change and some other reforms were welcomed. However, there was another side to all of this. The people who objected to the ultimate authority of the Pope and to other standards, such as 7 official sacraments, were condemned to hell. The word is anathematized, and they were excluded from participation in the Roman Catholic Church. Their own fellowships that were separated then as a result, because of their protests, became known as the Protestant churches, and that's a term we use to this day. Now that Luther was no longer under the Augustinian Catholic order, he would go on to marry a woman, Katharina von Bora, and herself, by the way, a former monk. And this would help set a direction that encouraged marriage, as is common in Protestant churches today, including of the clergy. Luther and other men, such as his friend Phillip Melancthon, would become central figures in articulating doctrines and practices that changed the church and the daily lives of Christian men and women here and across the world. Now, the Protestant church tradition today includes such mainline fellowships as well, Presbyterians and Methodists and Baptists, Congregationalists, and many kinds of independent churches. In Germany and other nations nearby, the most common form came to be known as Lutheran, which is yet another mainline group of denominations here and around the world. Anyway, we hope you're enjoying this series. It all began here, at least much of this Protestant movement began right here in the town of Wittenberg more than 500 years ago, thanks to this controversial figure, Martin Luther.